So I'm gonna bring my man Crazy Dee into the building.
Well, I want to say what's up to Crazy Dee, but I'm probably gonna hop off because they've got some preliminary stuff going on, which makes me think it's gonna get started soon. But did you bring him in? Oh, there he is. So
he's coming. You know how Crazy Dee come, and when he comes on the screen, he gonna be like this.
Get some of this.
Look. Not
He's
only
gonna
is
ask his
he
first
getting
question.
it,
He
look,
like,
always
wanna
promo.
know.
it's like he gotta drop it on you, like.
Crazy D, what up, man?
All right, come on, Crazy Dee, talk to us.
What up, man?
What's going on? Let me do this real quick.
Wow.
Right back.
Look at him, man. Look. The promo game, the promo architect right there, man.
Crazy D tip top with it.
Look, man, he'll sell you some air and you be standing outside breathing, man. You going to get some, man.
Listen.
Look, I'm gonna hop off, but my last thing, if you could comment on for me, is that you may mention that they did BET. I'm speaking of did a great job of pulling off this whole thing virtually, and that was actually going to be one of my questions to you. Like, how do you feel about this whole kind of virtual world we're living? I mean, we're doing it right now. We're not in the studio, but we're still able to connect. How is that for you as a hip hop artist, or how do you think that is for hip hop, because you're not necessarily like there with the people? Does it change it for you? Is that something, if you could just kind of comment on it?
Man, there's nothing like human contact. I was going to say, this is the first summer in 20 years that I'm not on an international flight somewhere to perform in front of people. So that has definitely been an adjustment. Rocking live. I'm never going to get used to boxes. I've always been trying to break out of boxes. So it's like, on the one hand, I appreciate it because there's a way for us to connect to each other digitally and continue to keep moving. But man, I just pray that the world can get control of this pandemic, of this virus and future viruses, and that we do not just check ourselves into netizens and forget the fact that human contact. I would prefer to be in Cleveland with you all having this conversation. As an artist, it's definitely adjusted a lot of things. I mean, shows, are different now. But again, it's where I dig into my African spirit. I'm a Virgo, so I'm adaptable. I'm gonna adapt. I'm gonna figure my way. I'm gonna figure out how to survive and make it happen. But for all of us as artists, as musicians, it's been difficult because it's not just us rocking stages. It's the experience of traveling to other places in the world, getting a chance to meet new people, getting broader perspectives, being able to see architecture from different parts of the world. I miss that. I've been flying around the world for 20 years. So it's like to not fly has been tough. But what I will say is for all artists, it's a great time to get creative. And I will say, if you don't feel like you're getting creative, then work on your self-care. Because, as Rakim said, he said he never has writer's block. He just has to live a little life and then he can write. So it's been adjustment to say the least, but I'm thankful for technology, but I'm a human contact person first. So I just pray that in the next 6-7 months that people are able to get control and we'll be able to adjust. Like I was saying, drive-in concerts may be the new thing. And I never thought I'd be rocking on the stage looking at cars, but if it's people inside and I can see their hands, I'll take that, So,
right.
Yeah.
Hey, well, we're gonna let Felicia go. She got to jump
Felicia,
out the car.
Felicia, I appreciate you.
I do. I'm gonna just show y'all really quickly my Amazon box they gave me that we will have.
What's in the box? This is everybody. We're gonna be giving away these Amazon boxes on Chill Talk. So let's see what we have.
A Night at the Drive-In. Open it up. They've got a little message here for us, and when we move that out, they got some popcorn, some type of like chocolate cookies, goodies. Oh, and some really nice like refillable water bottle. Of course, I would get this today after I just spent $20 on this one just like 3 hours ago. But this is really cool. It's refillable. So some nice little goodies. So make sure you guys check us out. We will still be giving away tickets. Like we mentioned, this happens every
other Wednesday.
Every other Wednesday. So the next one will be, I'm sorry, I'm trying to flip my camera around. Ooh. Okay, the next one will be July 15th. And I believe the movies are Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse
Into the Spider-Verse and Coco.
Yep. So yep, definitely stay tuned to Chill Talk. Thank you so much for coming on, Crazy Dee. Sorry I can't stay on and get to chat with you a little bit longer, but you're like our, resident co-host or something. So co-host from the West Coast. Yeah.
Yep.
So appreciate you, and you guys all have a great night.
Yep.
And I don't want to see y'all no 4th of July celebrations either.
If you heard I was
celebrating, it's a worldwide lie. You know what it is.
All right, have a good one, y'all.
All right, go ahead and switch your rep Chill Talk in the house. Yes, all right, Dee, before we come to you, I was telling Jahi that I wanted to ask him about the radio station. Tell us about the radio station.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. So the thing of the rap station is our worldwide center for hip hop culture, and you can get it on your phone. It's the Rap Station app. Matter of fact, I got my phone close to me, so make sure I plug this for Chuck. That's the Rap Station app right there. You can see it all the way in. Yep. Again, it's our self-determination, man. If you're a local artist, by and large, you might not get played on any of these major radio stations, but you can get played on our station. And what Rap Station is, man, is just it's a home for us to be able to celebrate the underfound, to celebrate people from all the way around the world. We got Planet Earth, Planet Rap, which covers all around the world. We got an instrumental station, which I always say is great for educators. You want hip hop in your classroom, play the instrumental station. You ain't got to worry about no bleeps. You know what I'm saying? And then there's also home to And You Don't Stop, which is Chuck D's radio show, which he's been running for 11 years straight now. So again, Rap Station is our inner power network. It's our hip hop CNN. It is our home base to be able to salute and support artists all around the world. So all you got to do is download the app, and then and then check out And You Don't Stop. Check out my man Malcolm, Chairman Mal. He's on Twitter, and you can get all the information how to submit your tracks and everything there. And Chill, I'll leave you some detail in the comments for that as well too. But Rap Station is our answer. When people talk about, well, what do we own? What do we control? How do hip hop is being taken over? Well, we got our own channels with 10 stations, and again, we got the same technology that Instagram has. Chuck did a conversation with the brother in Detroit, Lazarus, who is a doctor and an MC, with Catherine Lawless, as well. So we just, Chuck has always been ahead of technology, man. You got to remember, Public Enemy, first rap group with a website. Chuck D was talking about emails in the 90s, when Napster started. Chuck was right there at the same time. So again, on the one hand, on the technology side, he's always been forward thinking. And then also it's hip hop service, man. So shout out to the entire team, Flatline, Andrea, Tim, everybody that's on the Rap Station network.
All right, no doubt. As I bring in Crazy Dee, first of all, Dee, you've been up to some stuff, Dee. Crazy Dee jumped up on the chat and hit me off with some Medu Necher. I think he tried to catch me up to see if I knew what he wrote. I successfully on the spot translated it. And Dee, not only, bruh, I recognize did you hit us with the transliteration of the phrase Uncle Jah Seneb, which is life, prosperity, and health. You also wrote it in manual decodage. You wrote it, you transliterated it, and you wrote it in manual decodage. So I'm watching you, brother. I'm watching you, Crazy Dee. But anyhow, Dee, what's going on, my brother? Talk to us.
Another great show, Chill, first of all. what's up to you? You know, and Jahi,
What up, Chip? What up, man?
years,
Crazy D.
years,
Years.
years. First of all, how you doing, man? How you doing?
Man, blessed, man. Blessed, man. Blessed to be alive, to be here on planet Earth right now, man. How
Okay,
about
so
you? How you?
you know, I'm blessed. You know, what I'm saying we moved out here back in 2012 to Las Vegas, to palm trees, sunshine. When spring springs, it springs in February, buds on the trees, but not this year. You know,
Mm,
first Kobe, and
mm,
uh, then everything that just went haywire after that with the COVID. So it's a little different this year. It just now started warming up now. It was in the 60s, then 80s. Usually it will be 115 already by
mm.
April. So it's a little different, but that's not the point. But it's good to see you, first of all.
Oh,
And it's
good, man.
good to see you on that international scale. You
Nah,
know,
it's all good, man. You know, man. Look, Cleveland representative, man.
understand that. So I, me and you have had discussions before, so you know we're gonna get into a little politics, just a little bit.
Let's go, man. Let's go.
The first thing I want to ask, because you've traveled the world, right? And you've traveled the world, you've done things that people in Cleveland, Ohio could only imagine to do, traveling off of your ability to spit rhymes, right? So this is a question that's more Cleveland centric. What place around the world did you go, or what places around the world did you go where your Cleveland training prepared you for that place?
Mm. It's a great question, man. And I would say off top where I'm at right now, Oakland, California. When I first came out to Oakland in 2000, first thing I noticed was that people out here can freestyle off the dome, put them in a cipher. You're gonna get some bars for you, right? And I remember, people was like, well, you from Cleveland. I'm gonna take you to this spot. It's gonna be some MCs there. They're gonna be busting off the top. So I don't know if you got riddance. I was just like, I'm from Cleveland. Look, look. So I would say definitely my ability to freestyle come off the head had a lot to do with it. I would say shout out to Recognized Records, man. D Royster, man. Derek Royster, man. Robbie, man, and
Robbie, man.
man, don't let me start 3 feet. Those cats, like, we used to sharpen each other's blade, man. So I would say my freestyling coming from Cleveland prepared me to go anywhere in the world and touch a microphone, especially like in Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say my ability to have confidence and no fear. I moved to Copenhagen, Denmark, man, and I lived in Denmark and got a deal in Denmark and put out a record. First African American to put out a record in Denmark with all Danish producers. But it was because I was able to deal with my fears of, and that was in Cleveland, the fear of, am I good enough? Can I do this? Cleveland prepared me for that. And I would say some of the struggles and challenges I went through in Cleveland, to get you to that point of no fear, prepared me to live in Denmark in the snow, uh, uh, which also prepared me because although I would say Cleveland snow ain't Denmark snow, like that's Arctic cold, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
but I knew how to I knew how to manage in the snow, you know. And then I would say lastly, wow, I'm gonna go real Cleveland. Glenview Festival, Buckeye Festival, Luke Easter Park Festival. Those festivals prepared me to know like how to rock, how to rock. Because go to Buckeye Festival if you want to on 116th and you ain't rocking.
Same with
They gonna
Glenville.
be like,
Same
look,
with
go to
Easter.
Glenville Festival and don't be right. They be, hey, let me go get me some hot dogs or something because I don't know what they doing on the stage. Like, So I have to say that a lot of those things, man, prepared me in a way that's unique to my own experience, you know. And yeah, I'll mention those things. Man, it's a lot around Cleveland, man. But Cleveland was my launch pad, you know. But I would say those things let me know that when I show up in the world, that you know I can handle it because I was able to handle, you know, a surviving as a black man to be able to do something in Cleveland and then get up out of Cleveland to be able to live my dream. So
Hmm. So you're in the Bay, you're in Oakland or San
I'm in
Francisco.
Oakland. I'm in Oakland. Yeah.
Okay. So Oakland, San Francisco, and Stockton are kind of like Cleveland, Akron, and Canton.
Yeah, in some ways. In some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. But yeah, I get it though. Yep.
It's in distance.
Yeah. No, sure, sure.
So um, the hyphy movement is no longer, well, it's remnants there, but let's take E40 for instance, right? And we're speaking on consciousness. Do you see uh, speaking on consciousness and pro-blackness and speaking for upliftment of black people? Do you see or hear consciousness in acts like E40 and others that are in the Bay?
Well, you know, I mean, I'm gonna say shout out to E40 and his sister Sugar T. You know, I would say, you know, I hear a lot more consciousness in the lane of what I'm thinking from his sister Sugar T more so than E40. But we also know that entrepreneurship is an important part of hip hop, and E40 is a master of that. The whole idea of selling out your trunk came from Too Short on MacArthur and Seminary, and from E40. They the architects of that. So there's an entrepreneur spirit that I appreciate. And then the other thing I will say this is that E40 is number one, the amount of products that he releases is incredible. The output is incredible. And what I'm also noticing is in the OG status that he's now given a whole lot more game, you know, and really trying to be a motivating factor to a lot of young generation as opposed to just party and BS. You know what I'm saying? So, and I don't necessarily look to E40 in terms of black consciousness rhyme to some degree, but I pay attention to his entrepreneurial spirit. It's enough here already. Paris lives out. Paris is in the Bay.
Mhm.
I can just Soul Development, Kev Choice, Ryan Nicole, Jennifer Johns. I could just start naming off names. So there's um there's a rich celebration of culture and consciousness here, which is part of the reason why I've been here for 21 years as well too, because I didn't have to explain what I was trying to do in hip hop. There was already a lane. You know, Pac lived here. Pac was in Oakland. You know, I mean, I'm probably missing a lot of, you know, Boots from the Coup. Remember the Coup. I picked up on the Coup before I was in Cleveland before I came out to the Bay. So
Mhm.
there's there's a consciousness that is in every aspect of daily life that's in Oakland and the Bay, which I love and appreciate.
Mhm.
And I think that you got top tier people and you got the most under of the underground, but from the most underground to the top tier, you're gonna hear something black, something conscious, something that's gonna speak some level of truth to power. And then it's up to you to take it and try to build it. You know what I mean? So but I will say though, you know, again, people talk about E40 a lot, and for black women, they should be checking out Sugar T. Sugar T, again, that she the first lady of the West Coast, and what she's doing entrepreneurially as well as lyrically is on point.
Mhm. Tupac represented, I would say, because he lived in the Bay, he represented both sides.
Right,
He had the party side, then he had the strict consciousness. Is
right.
there, because from what I understand of the Bay, you live there, but from my research on it, that consciousness flows through, but it also comes from the pimp game that was out there too. It's a consciousness it's a pro-black consciousness, and it's the pimp game, and it's interwoven together in everyone that is out there and what they spit in their music. So
Yeah.
just using them as the microcosm, but it's really globally. Um, is it is let me see how I can phrase this. Is it necessary for people on either side to necessarily down the other side because we are all in the same struggle. Is it
Nah,
necessary?
nah.
Because I see people go hard, hard, hard. You should do that. And every day, I don't think that as black men or as black women, I'll speak for as a black man. I don't wake up every day and say, uh, you know, I'm going to fight the power every day. That's my main focus, right? But sometimes I want to hear something else. You know, so
Mm,
something. If I'm working out, I want to hear something charged. I might listen to some heavy metal or some AC/DC, or I might listen to some Stones, or I might listen to some E40, some Tupac. I mean,
yep.
is it
Well,
because hip hop is hip hop and hip hop is a struggle music? So does it? Where's the divide at, and why should there be a divide, or why shouldn't there be a divide
mm.
between artists?
Well, it's a couple of things. One, although I understand the perspective of hip hop being a struggling music, it's also a music of liberation as well too. And you got Thizzler.com. If you go to Thizzler, you can see all the street cats that's in the Bay that's repping what it is that they're doing, and what they have to say. And you can't really escape being in the Bay and not have some level of consciousness. Again, you could see the cat that you consider a thug is at the he at the protest, and after the protest, he at the think tank session, and then he at the late night party drinking, getting his thing on, right? So, but I think what you said about Tupac being balanced, I think is important. And I think the way things become imbalanced is that you always see one thing and not see the other. That's how things become imbalanced. So out here, there's a healthy being able to see all of it. you know there's nothing conscious about the pimp game. I just got to keep it 100. If you are using women to do sexual favors and you get money from that, then I can't really call that conscious. I can't really rock with that. I got a different moral compass around how I feel about black women, in particular. But that culture does exist out here, and but it's also been flipped. Like, okay, let's pimp the system. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, what can we do in order to be able to benefit ourselves and our people by trying to, understand how to maneuver the system in a particular way. Um, but I don't really see so much of a division. What I really see is the lines that we would usually think where it's like positive here and negative here, those lines are now gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at it as food. For me, it's like, you can eat hot Cheetos and a 12 liter of Pepsi and be good. You could eat that, right? You could eat that. But after a while, you need some fruits and vegetables, you need some grains, you need some nuts, you need some fresh water. You know what I'm saying? Because gives you, they say a balanced diet is optimum health. So I
Mm-hmm.
think in terms of hip hop, what we have to continue to work on is continuing to make sure that we have a balanced diet. So yeah, I'm working out, but I'm working out, I'm listening to Stickman, the workout, the workout too. You know what I'm saying? Um, I was driving to the ocean. I'm listening to Buju Banton, Bless, brand new. You know what I'm saying? So because as we get older, you can't just locate us in one place. But I think that to get really at your point is that the division you see less division. Of course, you got cliques and lanes and people kind of hang out where they at and they do what it is that they do. But when it's time to ride for black folks, when it's time to ride for people of color, when it's time to ride for injustice, you're going to see all those lines get blurred and people are able to come together, which I think is powerful because I think, and I would say as a growing into eldership, I got game to give. But I also realized that the young cat that's hanging with the street dudes, he got some game to share with me too. And there used to be a time where like, oh, I ain't trying to hear that. Let me give you what I'm saying. Right. But now it's more of, okay, let me keep my ear up because I want you to keep your ear up. And through that, as an intergenerational dialogue, we can each put each other on the game that will help us on our journeys as we move, man. So I love that. That's one of the things I love about the Bay. It's so eclectic. It's so much that you can choose from. So you can, I always say the Bay Area is 31 flavors, man, and you got all 31.
Well, you know what? I wanted to ask you this, and because it was something that you brought up, and people occasionally ask me this, uh, time and again when you talked about Chuck, when you talked about MCs approaching 50, being 50, and approaching 60. We know that other musical art forms, cats can do it until it's over. Jazz is a perfect example. Blues, dude,
Reggae music is a great.
reggae, man, reggae cats, blues players, jazz musicians, they done rock some jazz riffs with their very last breath.
That's right. That's right.
Uh, what do you think about MCs still rocking rhymes, still having respect for the art
Mhm.
as they get older? We know the hip hop was created by youth to express things that the youth were feeling, but as some of the practitioners mature, how do you feel about cats still MCing
Mhm.
past their 50s?
Right. Well, first thing is that I think it's a I hear it all the time, and I still think it's a myth, man, that hip hop was never created by just young people. It was always intergenerational. Here's a proof point. What records was Kool Herc playing?
Oh yeah, he was playing.
There were no hip hop records.
That's for
So what
sure.
was he playing? He was playing all of the music that your parents had
He was
and
playing that
finding
funk.
that break.
He was
So we
playing that
gotta.
funk.
So that's right. And again, we from Ohio. Roger Troutman is Zap. Come on, like we don't
But
don't talk to us about funk. You know what I mean? We can
yeah,
get on it. So I think that's the first thing, because I think that's said way too much. Hip hop has never just been for young people. It's always been intergenerational. Um, because I'm with an MC that, again, Chuck D and Ice T. Chuck will be 60. Professor Griff will be 60 August 1st. Chuck will be 60. Ice T is 60. Um, they are showing us what it is like to rhyme in those zenith years. And I think they're showing us a lot. DMC, Run, like a lot of people that we grew up with are still around. I think that they always still have something to share. Here's what I will say, and I don't mean no disrespect to nobody, but when your rhymes are no longer good
ha ha.
and you ain't really keeping up with whatever cadence you got, and you can't ride the beat, and the crowd is not reacting, and people, like, then you got to self-assess. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And I don't think that has nothing to do with age. Ageism needs to be completely obliterated in hip-hop culture. It actually shows our Western influence to even talk about ageism, because in Africa, nobody would ever tell the African drummer that you too old to drum. Nobody will tell the African sister that you too old to dance. No, we the only culture, and because of that false narrative that we are youth culture, that's why we always
Mhm.
battling against that. And I know a lot of people that's 40 and up. I am not ashamed to say it. I'll be 49 this year, and I got a lot of rhymes left. Trust me, you're gonna see, like, age is not actually age is helping me and a lot of others get better,
Right.
because now I got my youth experience from being a kid. I got all of this experience. My homie Gifted Gab of Black Alicious, man, he's another one of my soldiers, man. This brother had diabetes. He was going the dialysis 3 times a week and rocket shows on the weekend.
Mm.
He said these words. He said, "Ja, I might die on the stage, but I'm gonna die rhyming.
Mm.
I'm gonna die spitting these bars."
That's
That's
what I'm
the
talking about.
level of love that we are at. So, what I would say to anybody that's 40 and up, again, there's an importance around being good and really being skilled at your craft. Just because you grew up in the 80s and you had records in your house, if you haven't practiced and put in the work, how many of you want a plumber to come to your house to fix your plumbing who was like, yeah, I saw a plumber back in the day, so I think I know? No, you got to be working at plumbing, like work at your craft, because in hip hop, these are human skills. The DJ right now is taking its proper place again in the culture. The
Mm.
DJ is becoming more in the forefront. That's a human skill. Somebody tell me that a person over 50 can't DJ. Come on, man. You can't tell me that. So, but I will say this, and you got to be good.
Right.
And And I would say the definition of good is not based on what the mainstream is saying. It's based on the reason why I've been able to have success is because I defined success for myself a long time ago. And I set my barometers for success. I did not let the outside determine it, because if I would have let the outside determine it, I would have gave up a long time ago, because they was already pushing me out. You ain't got no deal. You don't have no deal. You don't have this. You don't have that. So defining success for yourself and then go for it. But again, it's got to be good, man. It's got to be good.
That's the thing. You gotta have bars. You gotta have skills. Cause
And for KRS taught me this: MCs pack raps for all occasions. So you can't just be good, you good in one style, but somebody drop a beat, you be like, oh, I need a different beat. No, you're supposed to rock over whatever they drop, right?
Right.
You know what? Your content is just conscious, but some street cats run up on you and you don't know how to be street conscious, because
Right.
that's the journey of these human skills that we have in hip hop culture. MC and DJ and graffiti writing and breaking are human skills. Beatboxing. Look at Dougie Fresh right now.
Talk about them
Dougie
elements.
Fresh. Look at Dougie Fresh right now, man. Look at Dougie in his mid 50s, running in good shape. And here's the thing: I'll say this about Chill, and this is what Chuck will tell you. These young cats be talking, right? Put them on the stage with us for an hour. How about 60 minutes? You see them. After 10 minutes, they be, where the ad-lib track? Where my hype man?
Right.
I saw KRS freestyle for 40 minutes and then say, okay, I'm ready to start the show.
There you
I
go.
was on stage this past summer. Last year, Gods of Rap, Wu-Tang, De La Soul, and DJ Premier. Look, these are grown hip hop
squad right there.
Look, hip hop is grown, so you gotta respect that we are growing, and I think future generations, if they look at it that way, then we can then not have these wedges. You the young cat, you the old head. It's like, man, you want to get some wisdom from the old head. These grays matter. These grays mean I got some game that I can share with you, and I'm open enough to also listen to you as well too, because I know this is an intergenerational dialogue. Now, we may not be doing the same styles. There's certain music that's out. There's certain thing that I believe that commercial rap, corporate rap music is a lane to itself.
Mm-hmm.
And you got that lane, and that lane is sex, drugs, murder, violence, over materialism. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. And again, back to your diet. You can eat that 8 hours a day for 7 days a week.
We say the Cheetos and the what was it? The Cheetos and
and that 2 liter of Pepsi. You can go ahead and you can, but sooner or later, again, you need a balanced diet. So hip hop is a house of many rooms. Chuck said the commercial rap is down in the basement by the boiler right now on timeout.
That's what's up, man. You gotta love that brother, man. You gotta. But I'm glad, because I had to ask you that, and I'm glad you gave that information, because I asked you about brothers 50 and over, and you start telling me about some young 40-year-olds. I'd ask about this, but no.
Again, the 50 and older, man. Again, you know what? In a blink of an eye, man, all of your favorite MCs are gonna be in. We all in our 40s and 50s anyway.
Right.
But again, we are the age of the culture. We are growing. If we say August 11th, 1973 is hip hop's birthday because of 1520 Segway Avenue and Kool Herc, then how old is hip hop? Hip hop is in its late 40s, 50s. It's about to turn. If you 50 trying to keep up with a 25-year-old, somebody need to check in with you.
Right.
You don't need to be rhyming with 25-year-olds or talking about 25-year-old stuff. You need to be talking about what the 40 and 50-year-old black man experience is, and there's a lot for us to tell. So I'm glad to be in that.
And I'm glad you're there, bro. And what you call it, my man, I'm looking in the chat. My man Kevin Taylor showed up right now, and I owe him 16 bars that he knows that I have already. So I'm gonna spend tomorrow, Kev, since you watching, I'm gonna spend tomorrow making sure that I'm on that track that he
get that pen. Go get that pen together, man.
Come on. Jahi, I told you when I said at the Rock Hall, I got bars.
I
My
know.
bar's
Look,
already written. No, the bar. My. Come on now.
look. I ain't about to test him. Look,
The
I
bar's
know.
already written. Them bars written already. I just gotta listen to his track and get ready to record them. But
That's all
no,
good.
no doubt. No, you gotta always be ready.
That's
Uh,
right. That's right.
Crazy D, go ahead because I got about another two questions for this brother,
All right.
and then we can let him go do his thing.
Okay.
And this is the last shout out, by the way. Sorry about that, D. This is the last shout out. That if I put the Zoom link out there, I'm gonna put it out there one more time. If anybody wants to jump in and ask Jahi something, this your last shot. Go ahead, D.
Okay. Being that you're out there in the Bay, I have a question about the last black man in San Francisco. Have you seen that film?
I did, and I didn't like it.
Okay. Well, first before
Just
first,
I
man,
didn't like it either.
don't go.
I'm gonna keep it a buck.
Right, right. But the question I want to ask is about back to hip hop before we get to that, because I want to stay on. This is a great discussion. A lot of the old school hip hop cats were out here in Las Vegas trying to make their inroads, get on the strip. Salt and Pepper had a
They had a run.
yeah,
Yep.
had a
Mhm.
run. And what I heard from some, not all, is that the best hip hop really ends at 86,
Hmm.
right? And that the best hip hop was 86 and back, and really what comes afterwards, which is really the money making age, is not hip hop. And so when I heard that, and
Hmm.
you can give your opinion on that, but when I heard that, I'm thinking, well, isn't what the young people are doing now? Because at one time, our parents, well, my parents didn't do that. They let me bam in the basement. But um, some people were like, turn that off. That's noise. That's noise. How much of it, what the kids are doing today, when they were striking, like a few years ago, they were striking at Pac and calling him a lame and he was a nerd and he was doing crazy stuff. How much of that is just them striking back at the older hip hop acts to say what's happening now is not hip hop music?
Yeah. Everybody feel like whoever got it now, they got it. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was a bit disrespectful to talk about Pac in that way, because again, sometimes we are our own worst enemies. We be creating wedges that we don't need when we could be building bridges and build wedges. Um, I do think that every generation has its time and its style. Um, for example, in mumble rap, I can hear cadences that sound like African drumming. Now, they may not know about African drumming. They may not know about the djembe and the junjun, but I hear it. So if I ever have an opportunity, I'm going to try to give some education. Yo, you know what? That tonality sounds like this, right? Um, again, because of the lane that I'm in and just my own moral conduct, it's certain things that I just don't like. If you shooting and murdering people, I'm probably, I gotta skip. You know what I'm saying? It's just not. And I was the same way when I was coming up in hip hop. It ain't like murder and shooting, killing just showed up. We had that in the 80s as well too. And I kind of leaned away from that, and recognized that. So there are some things. Yep.
You lean away from Chris,
Did I lean away from
the first album.
who? Criminal Minded?
Did you lean away from Chris? He had crack.
But I would say this. I knew of Criminal Minded, but Rakim is who got me. That was you. I was just in '86. It's to me. I consider hip hop pre Rakim and post Rakim, because Rakim changed the way that the rhyme style. Like if you think about it, Run DMC Raising Hell, Rakim shuts all of that down. 7 MCs, put them in a line, take 7 more brothers who think they can rhyme, take 7 more before I go for mine. 21 MCs ate up at the same
Same
time.
time.
So I will say this, that Criminal Minded, the beats caught me more than some of the lyrics, but the P is free and stuff like that, I wasn't rocking with that either. And KRS is my man. So and that's a great point that you make, Crazy D, is that these messages and images have always been here. It's always been street party. It's always been that. It's always been some consciousness. It's always been some people in the middle, and you have it. But again, my thing is that where I can educate and where I can build a bridge, it's all good. Sometimes they don't want the bridge, they want the wedge, and I got to accept that. Okay, you want the wedge is what you get. But I'm gonna but I'm not gonna acquiesce, and I'm not gonna try to be a teenager. I'm gonna still stand up as a grown man in hip hop because I still want to give them that image to lift up to. And I do think that there's always a level of rebelliousness each generation. And part of it is like, you know, the young lion is always going to buck at the big lion, like just, you know, because I'm here. But you know, there's an African proverb: you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. And I think that young folks need to think about that. Now, to what you said about, to me, the golden era of the golden age to me is 1980 to 1990. That is the golden era of hip hop for me. And I don't think hip hop, I don't think at the end of it, I just think that again, things are cyclical, they go in waves. But Run DMC and Jam Master Jay, sucker MCs, lets you know there's something new. The my name is this, and I'm just so fly, and I like to say hello. Sucker MCs crushed that. Like it brought in a new, right? So when you think
Absolutely
about
right.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then when you think about the MC Lights and the Queen Latifahs, you know, and the Salt and Peppers, and you know, they ushered in. I mean, again, Queen Latifah is her significance is, you look at her cover, you think it's Black Panther 2020. You know what I'm saying? You think it's right now. But the reason why I say the 80s to the 90s and I don't say 86, because again, you got 87 PE comes in, right? You got man, you had, I'll just say this without missing anybody: the variety of music from 1980 to 1990, and with the consciousness that was being built in that. Again, we took gold off because we wanted to get Nelson Mandela out. You know, Jungle Brothers gives birth to De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Queen Latifah, Moni Love. But Jungle Brothers 1989, done by the forces of nature, is a classic conscious record. It gives birth to Diggable Planets and Arrested Development. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I always say the first golden era is 80 to 90. And then I say from 90 to 2000, although that was the money era, don't forget that Miss Lauryn Hill proved to the world, oh, conscious music can't sell 5 Grammys. You know what I'm saying? Um, you got to remember that who predates the Fugees is Diggable Planets.
Yeah.
And now, if you listen to them now, they were so lyrical. They were so like, oh man, you know what I mean? So yeah, for me, it's 80 to 90, not 86. 86 to me, again, that becomes the Rakim era. That becomes MCing to me totally changes. There was a pre-Rakim and post.
You know, Rakim was talking to a younger MC out here in Las Vegas who is really dope. Storytelling, his beat selection, his whole crew can spit. He's definitely on hip hop, but he was telling him that who's doper now or then, and he really, in my opinion, from the discussion that he told me he had with him, Rakim really leaves himself out because he's saying who was forming how bars were set up in the beginning. How was hip hop being formed? It was all new. We didn't, he was saying that the people who were making it didn't know they were forming it then. So that's what makes it from 73 to 86. He really
That's
leaves
right.
him
Well,
out.
he's a humble dude, you know, he's a humble dude. And we all on the ancient continuum. You know, I just did this educational thing for the Rock Hall, and I said, listen, you got to go back through Jamaica, through the Caribbean, Central South America. It's going to take you back to the continent of Africa. We on this ancient continuum. When I was in Ghana, the Ashanti were telling me how during harvest time, how the two chiefs would verbally joust against each other before they had celebration around harvest. That's freestyling. That's freestyling. That's the MC, you know, in us. You know, oh, what you say, you got bars, I got bars. You know what I mean? So, and Rakim is a real humble dude, man. Again, what he really was educating is that he's on a continuum. You talk to Rakim, he gonna talk about Kool Moe Dee, Grandmaster Caz, Melly Mel. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna talk, but then when you talk about them, you talk to them, then they're gonna take you even further. Some people will mention Louis Jordan, for example, Cab Calloway. You You know, see what I'm saying? So now, okay, we're gonna go Cab Calloway, then we got to go to the blues. Oh, now we have Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf. Oh, you want to go back further? Now let's go to the field songs. Okay, you want to go further? In Jamaica, the Maroons was doing their thing. You know what I mean? So we all on this ancient continuum, and I just hope that we can continue to have that understanding, because with that, when Rakim talked to a young cat, he can pick up the game and really see what he was giving him. So I just think that's super dope, man. You know?
Right. And you know what? And I tell everybody uh, that they need to go back and check it, just what you said, to check styles and flows before Rakim and then after Rakim.
That's right.
That's a paradigm shift.
That's
Uh,
right.
and
That's
and
right.
and do I mean, because you know your work, you know your homework. So I mean,
Yep.
you already know that. Just like when you talked about Sucker MCs, man,
That's
that
right.
was a change, Jahi. That was a change from one song to the next, because
Man,
the A version of that was Hard Times,
that's right. Man,
and then it ended, and then right after that, boom, cat, 2 years. You're like,
man,
what's
what's going
this?
on? That's
What?
right. And
All of a
again, Michael
sudden,
Jackson.
it changed right before your ears from one song to the next.
Look,
Your world changed.
Michael Jackson had it at that time. So again, that's why even in the video they stepped on the glove. They was like new situation. And you know, crazy man with D man with just you just made me think about something. When I met Umar Ben Hassan from the Last
As
Poets,
poets, right?
I was like, yeah, y'all. They say y'all are the progenitors, you the godfathers, and he was like, no, it wasn't us. And he took me to he was like, do you know about Congo Square?
Mm.
Congo Square in New Orleans, they're one of the only places that on the weekends you could actually talk in your indigenous language and have the use of the drum. So of course we like Last Poets. He like, nah, go back. That's what Rakim was doing for that young kid. You see what I'm saying? Like they know it's they are a pin in the timeline, but they always point, and that's what wisdom and elders do, man. So
So
Well,
isn't
hold on, D. I do want to say, because I did lose what I was, so I can't
my
actually
fault.
see.
Yep.
No, I can't actually see who was in the chat. Uh, so I lost that on my other
Yeah,
device,
peace to everybody.
but
yeah,
but I just want to say I hope everybody went on ahead and shared this, and I think this is such an important dialogue with this brother that after this I'll probably run this some more and do a watch party uh, with this again.
That's what's
So
up.
so
That's
we'll
what's
be
up.
able to see and build with this. And I want to make sure that Jahi, I get your information out, because the brothers from the Kofi Potside research team said they definitely want to get that information
Yeah.
for your books, and I definitely want to get you that information on Spears of the Mossy too. So
No, absolutely. Yeah.
I want to make that
And
connection.
yeah, and again, folks, you know, Instagram at MC Jahi, on Twitter at Hip Hop Educate, and then my website, I am Jahi, JAHI.com. That's where you can find me. You know, I probably spend more time on my website than any social media platform, but yeah, you know, I'm reachable, and the book is out right now as well too. And again, I definitely look forward to getting those links, man. So yeah.
All right, D. Anything else before we let this brother go ahead and handle the rest of his business?
I have one more question about your opinion on hip hop before we get to the last black
All right.
man in San
In San
Francisco.
Well, how
Francisco.
about this? How about you table the one on Last Man in San Francisco, and I'm just gonna tell you respectfully, I didn't like it, so I don't really want to talk about it. And let's stay on hip hop.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Isn't hip hop really during the age of when it started to transcend to the modern sound of what it is? Isn't it a trinity though? Isn't it Rakim, Kane, and KRS One?
Well, my Trinity is in this order: Rakim, Chuck, KRS.
Okay.
That's my Trinity. My top five. My top five is pretty static. It's those three, Lauryn Hill, and the fifth one changes from time to time. Sometimes it's Yasin Bey, sometimes it's Nas, sometimes it's Black Thought. Uh, but those four, my four on my top five, don't change. So for me, and I'll say this, the reason why those are the Trinities for me is KRS-One taught me the ability to be able to truly rock live. That's what I learned most from KRS-One is the ability to rock live and to be able to have styles and bars. That's what I got from, if people want to know my inner workings as an MC, I got that from KRS. I got my intelligence and my consciousness and my ability to rhyme over speed from Chuck. That's because again, if Rakim made us rhyme differently, Public Enemy made us listen differently, noisy, fast. You know what I'm saying, right? So again, that's what I got. I got that rocking live KRS, my intelligence and consciousness and speed from Chuck D, and then from Rakim, man, is really my essence. To me, Rakim is a true MC. And not only is he a true MC, he's true to the lane in which he started in 80s in 86. You don't hear Rakim cussing all over the place. You only see Rakim in the news flipping out. Rakim got a particular lane. So I think my awareness and my ability to like craftsmanship as an MC, my pen game, Rakim. So when I'm trying to do my best work, when I had to pull off those 8 bars, my prayer is that Trinity can get me to where I feel like I can do something that's gonna be representative that my people gonna see it and say, yo, that's Jahi and he kicking that consciousness. But again, Big Daddy Kane is in there, Ice Cube is in there. Um, uh, Again, MC Light, Moni Love is in there. Like these queens could rhyme with the best of them as well too. Always, they show in the verses. The battle I would love to see is Big Daddy Kane and Rakim
Yeah, a
because
lot
I
of people have
think
been talking
I
about
still
that one.
no. And if you saw the interview with Rakim, he's still talking about that, and Big Daddy Kane talking about it too. I think it'd be great for the culture because those are giants. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Okay.
All right, chill. I got one more question, man, and then it's dinner time. Wifey's calling, so.
Okay. This the question that I had. I was gonna let you roll, but since you let me get back in there, uh, you teach a curriculum of hip hop education on a college level.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain how that works, how it is received, and how it is received by the college, your other peers
Mm-hmm.
at colleges, and most importantly, how do the students relate to that curriculum?
Well, I taught a course called Hip Hop in the Contemporary World with Dr. Kimberly Mayfield at Holy Names University, spring 2020. So I just finished that course. And, the first things first is class fills up. I mean, it's hip hop culture. So the class was full. I would say this, though, you know, colleges and universities need to step their game up and make sure they have more practitioners of the culture. No disrespect to academics of the culture, because we need academics of the culture. We need people who are highly skilled in research and being able to turn around tools that turn into textbooks so we can talk about the pedagogy and practice around hip hop culture. Academics are essential for that. But if you just got academics, but you ain't got nobody that's actively participating in the culture, then you had a challenge, you know. And to be honest, you really can't get the full experience unless you got a practitioner. That's why Ninth Wonder, when he was teaching at Duke and at Harvard, was so important. And Questlove, when he was teaching at Columbia, was so important because we are practitioners. We're not just reading. It's lived experience. So there's always a bit of a fight and challenge around that getting in. But I believe that again, our skills and what we have gets us in. In terms of the curricula piece, you know, what's incredible again, hip hop is personal for us. I always say, if you was born from 1971 on, hip hop is personal for you. So what you find is that people have a personal connection. They got their favorite artists, their favorite songs, stuff that, moments, concerts, memorabilia, which is all great. But when we start getting into the mechanics of why hip hop is a culture, that's when the aha moments happen. That's when people start sitting back in their chairs and they start taking notes. Because again, I approach hip hop as a culture, not just rap. So when we were talking about the DJs, I brought in my turntables because I wanted them to understand the science of turntablism. If you don't think hip hop is science, try to change a needle. Try to change a needle, then you will find out that hip hop is science, right? Right? You want to talk about hand-eye coordination? Try to juggle two of the same records at the same break. There's a science. So it's like we can get into the deep education, and then one of the things I do that I'm really humbled that people have said I do pretty well is that I try to introduce people to folks in the classroom that they may not know, like Dref, that's out of London, that does graffiti pieces that celebrate Black women, or people may have known about Dapper Dan, but they didn't know about the Shirt Kings. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I try to do is I try to really go into culture and pull out things that they may not have been aware of, because I want people to leave my class not only having a better education around the culture, but I also want them to know something more beyond just certain names, dates, and places. We treat hip hop sometimes like Black History Month. People pull out Thurgood Marshall, Rosa Parks,
Martin Luther
Harry
King,
and MLK, and it's like we good. So in hip hop, what happens? People be like Cool Herc, Salt and
Flash,
Pepper,
yeah.
Flash, and Beastie Boys, right? And it's like, we more to it. So what I would say, three things in closing on that. A, it takes a lot of research and preparation, because my thing is always ancient continuum. We're going to talk about blues and I'm going to connect it to hip hop. We're going to talk about Afrobeat and connect it to hip hop. So that's important, right? That's one. Two is because hip hop is participatory, you can use that at the college level in your classroom. I had them in ciphers. Like, one of the classroom assignments, you had to take Chuck D's book and memorize a fact out of it, but you had to present it in a hip hop way. It had the aesthetic to it. So it's still getting that, right? And then three, the best way you could blow your class as a college professor is diss artists that's out right now. Just start dissing them. As soon as you start dissing them, and then when you start trying to, they're gonna be like, I ain't hearing nothing you got to say. So you can't. I'm not a fan of Future. I don't necessarily listen to Future's music, but I know Future exists. And if people in my classroom are listening to Future, I'm gonna challenge them. Go find me a song where he says something beautiful about his mama or something. Find me that we can have dialogue, because I'm always gonna represent this socially conscious lane, but I understand that hip hop is a house with many rooms. But having those touch points and the history, man, from a professor point of view, I love teaching at the college level, because also I think students are there. They really want to know. They really want to know. And also they don't have to be MCs and DJs in order to be able to know. But I also think universities got to step up and get out of the way of what you don't have and realize what we do have, because our experience as practitioners is at PhD level in a lot of cases. So,
All right, my brother. My brother. Well, you know what? I appreciate you spending, man. You rock like almost 2 hours with us,
hey,
bro.
well, I owed you, man, because I missed it. Yeah. So, but you fair, man. So again, man, I really appreciate it. Salute to everybody that came in on the chat, man. No matter where I am in the world, man, you can always be, even on those 8 bars, I was repping hip hop, but I was also repping the 216 forever. So,
No doubt. That's what's up right there. We love you like that, bro.
hey, same
Always,
here, man.
always keep repping too. So,
That's right.
hey, D, I always appreciate you jumping in, bro. I'm gonna be talking to you tomorrow. Uh, uh, well, we'll talk tomorrow.
All
But
good.
Jahi, no doubt, I'm gonna make those connections between you and the Kofi Pi Site research team as well,
Yeah.
Jahi. And
Yep. And chill. Email me your mailing address, and D, email me your mailing address. I got signed copies of the new book coming to y'all.
my man, my man. That's
All
love
right.
right there. That's love.
All right.
All right, bro. Hey, do your thing. You talk to Chuck. Tell him I said he know what it is.
Yep.
We'll get up as well.
Fam,
Hey,
fam.
chill talk. Y'all had a good one today. I hope you shared it. I hope you go back over it, because you might have missed some stuff even while you
Hey,
was listening. So
Jules, man. So
that's
peace and
what
blessings
it
to
is.
everybody,
All right,
man.
Jahi.
All right, man. Out.
Peace, man. All
Peace.
right, D. I'll get with you, bro.
All right.
Peace, man.
Peace.